The time has come for our rewind of the week, and this week I am so pumped because we are taking a look back at a TV series. That's right, it's Xena!
Oh my gosh, Xena Warrior Princess is an American fantasy TV series that filmed on location in New Zealand. It aired from 1995 to 2001 and followed Xena, played by Lucy Lawless, the queen, who was an infamous warrior on a quest to seek redemption for her past sins because she pillaged and killed a lot of people, and now she wants to make up for it by just helping out the neighbors, which is so sweet. And it was writer, director, producer Robert Tapper created this series in 1995 along with R.J. Stewart and Sam Raimi, which is very interesting to me because I don't think I realized that at the time. And critics have praised this show. I mean, it's so iconic. Female protagonists and strong cult following, and it cultivated a whole fandom and parodies and all kinds of things. And also you can just see it so influence things that are still apparent today. I don't want to say fully it influenced Patty Jenkins' version of Wonder Woman, but it does seem like there are some moments that are very Xenified in that movie.
So this show is actually a spin-off of Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and the saga began with just 3 episodes in Hercules when Xena was supposed to be a recurring character and she was supposed to die in her 3rd episode. But then the producers saw how fantastic Lucy was and they were like, what do we have here? Something incredible. And so she had become very successful among the public, and they just decided to launch her own series, which was so revolutionary at the time, and I'm so glad because it has fully eclipsed Hercules and been such a bigger deal.
That's right, Kevin Sorbo.
Disappointed!
She was on Hercules while they were trying to cast Xena, and there was a British actress named Vanessa Angel who starred in a television adaptation of Weird Science who was hired, but then she fell ill before she was able to fly to the set. And then they decided to go with Lucy Lawless, who was a blonde, by the way. Their concept was doing a blonde Amazon, and then they were actually no.
Well, then let me talk about the blonde in the series, Gabrielle.
Yes, Gabrielle.
Okay, so Xena's travel companion,
best friend,
bestie,
buddy,
was played by Renee O'Connor, but that was actually not the producer's first choice either. Sunny Doinch, let me know if I'm saying your name right, Sunny, was actually first offered the role, but she apparently did not want to leave her boyfriend in the U.S. to go film over in New Zealand. So she backed out and it paved the way for O'Connor. And you know what? Thank you, because Renee was the most perfect Gabrielle.
Sunny didn't go to New Zealand. She's always going to be known as the girl who didn't go to New Zealand.
She's going to always be known as the girl who didn't go to Paris.
That's a Hills reference, ladies and gentlemen.
It was a deep cut. I loved it.
The world's biggest disappointment of all time.
Disappointed!
Kevin Sorbo was not happy with the direction that they were going with at Xena, as if he had a say. The show had been surpassing Hercules ratings. Xena was fantastic, as it should be, and he just felt like a companion show with a woman playing an equal to Hercules. She also had so much physical power, and he never really understood that. He was like, Hercules is supposed to be the strongest person in the world. He's a half god, and they just made they made her all kinds of things, like a doctor, and I just found it weird. And I'm like, shut up! I did a video years ago where I called Kevin Sorbo hot, and I would just like to publicly take that back.
Disappointed!
Lucy, Xena, epic warrior, got super injured on set, and it's all Jay Leno's fault. So Lucy Lawless was doing a skit for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno at the time, and she fell off her horse and she fractured her pelvis in multiple places. And the 2nd season was already in production, and so the producers had to absolutely scramble to try and figure out what they were going to do for production while their lead was trying to recover. She couldn't get back on a horse. So they adapted the body switch premise. So they had the characters Callisto and Autolycus becoming possessed by
good luck
Xena's
with every
spirit.
name on the show.
As silly as this sounds, this was actually a really serious injury for Lucy. She had to completely relearn how to walk.
I don't want to be silver lining, but this moment, because it got a lot of media attention, made the show 20 times more popular in the US. So, silver lining. We have to talk about all of the sexual chemistry in this show because, we'll talk about Gabrielle in a second, but it wasn't just Gabrielle. It was anyone that Lucy Lawless as Xena spoke to in this show, you were all of a sudden like, oh, am I rooting for them?
You were this close because I let you get this close.
The relationship between Gabrielle and Xena, which never quite went there, but we always wanted it to. We always like thought it was going to. We always just were like, yes, they're together. They're like a couple essentially, right? So, this is so disappointing. So what happened was they wanted to go into the Gabrielle and Xena relationship, but the executives were like, oh, we don't want to have what we like to call the Ellen effect. We can unpack this for a while, but
I'm gay.
Ellen DeGeneres came out and her show ratings went down. And so they got really scared that if they fully committed to the Gabrielle and Xena relationship, that it would like end up tanking the ratings. So they always like kind of towed the line, but never quite went there. But I still think they are canon together. They can go down in history as one of the most iconic couples. I love them so much.
I often think that one day she and Gabrielle are going to, stop all this nonsense and settle down and open up a little tavern on the highway and they'll have another nightclub.
We did get a behind-the-scenes, real-life love connection between Lucy Lawless and then the executive producer and creator of the show, Robert Tapert. They fell in love behind the scenes, and by 1998, they were married, and they had babies, and then when Lucy got pregnant with their second baby, they were like, let's just write it into the show. And that is actually how Xena's little baby, what is it, Eve, came to be.
Eve, that's how Eve came to be.
There have been so many attempts to reboot or continue the series. There was going to be a movie, and then there was going to be a show in 2015, and it keeps falling apart. Would you ever want to revisit Lucy as Xena, or how would you feel if they completely rebooted the show and just brought in Xena the character?
I think if you're going to reboot the show, I mean, Lucy Lawless can still play Xena. She looks incredible. She could definitely do it, but let's say she doesn't want to or whatever, she gets right of refusal and they end up rebooting it with somebody else. I would just like to see her come in as some kind of mentor character, but I've seen a lot of campaigning for her to maybe replace the character of Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, and this is turning into like a pretty big fan campaign at this point. So I think, that's what I want. I want that to happen.
That would be incredible.
Well, that's it for this episode of Stream Queens, but we want to know, what's your favorite Xena episode? Do you have a favorite character pairing? Favorite relationship? Let us know.
Yes, use it, #StreamQueens, and then tell us if you have watched The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. Do you think that the elevator footage was edited? What are your other favorite true crime shows? Tell us, and we will see you next time on Stream Queens. Bye, guys.
Bye.